What's going on, everybody? Marcus back again here with another video. I wanted to cover the interview that Ion Hazzikostas did with Sloot regarding the Shadowlands Alpha launch, which has actually got me a little bit hyped, but there's a few concerns I have with this interview that Ion Hazzikostas did. So we'll quickly go over them. I know a lot of people have already gone through them, but I wanted to give my thoughts. So in Alpha and Beta, there aren't any huge sets of class changes that have been held back for future release. Kind of expected that, maybe some tweaks, whatever. Uh, Dual wield. It's listening to feedback about single-minded fury for Fury Warriors. Who cares? Who cares? It's just aesthetic. That's all it really is. I mean, how do you if someone wants to be single-minded Fury Warrior, what you're asking is to have smaller weapons and do the same amount of damage. Makes no sense. So this is interesting. The AoE target cap, the 5-target AoE cap on some spells, aims to restore some niches that used to exist. Back in the day, Cleave was distinct from AoE. AoE target caps were removed in pursuit of simplification. The right answer now is rounding everything around AoEing it all down. So this is clearly an attempt for Blizzard to try and reel in some player activity that they're noticing going on, especially like in dungeons and also questing. I don't know quite how I feel about it yet, other than if your character has progressed to a point where your character's got so much gear and you've got such an ability to just round everything up, not die, and mow everything down, isn't that kind of what gearing is all about? Being able to outpower things, like getting that, isn't that kind of the reward? I don't know, just my thoughts. And the GCD changes. There's an element of skill in making decisions when an ability is on the GCD is an additional factor. The team doesn't want skill in WoW to be heavily tied to twitch and reaction time. If you miss a GCD, you probably shouldn't die. Please provide specific feedback when talking about GCD changes. Revert to changes has been heard. Okay, so I understand where they're going with the global cooldown stuff. I think they wanted to tone down the fact that people had macros going on where it's just pressing one button and everything activates all at once. I get that, right? I get that, but I think that clearly they had to roll back some of their GCD changes for a reason, and I imagine that doing so will be beneficial. To give specific examples, I'm not quite prepared to do that yet, but overall the philosophy of their GCD changes, I think they're half right and half wrong. Now here's the big stuff. MISC. No plans to bring back Master Loot. This is an absolute disaster. It's been a disastrous policy for Eon and his direction in the video game to take away Master Loot. And it's even going to be more prevalent with the next items he talks about, which is no plans to change gear swapping in Mythic Plus. Team wants to do tier sets again. You should expect to have your tier bonus set quickly, which made all of those slots dead in Mythic Plus. There were lots of positive aspects to having tier sets, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to go down to the loot section right here. There's no Warforging, Titan Forging, and Corruption in Shadowlands. Let loot be loot. The team is going to reduce the amount of loot that drops in Shadowlands raids. Okay, so they're not bringing back Master Loot, and they're going to let less loot drop from Shadowlands raids, and there's not going to be any Warforging or Titan Forging. So you mean to tell me that we're still going to be dependent upon Blizzard's RNG to gear? Guilds are still going to have monumental problems keeping up their rosters to actually show up and play. I've always been a proponent of Master Loot. I think, and I'm also a proponent of having the choice to switch to personal loot. Let them have the choice. Let only guilds do it. This is a major mistake, and I just wanted to point this out. That letting less loot drop from raids is okay as long as people understand, like, okay, you're not going to get geared as fast, but we're going to let you choose how your guild gears instead of we're going to tell you how to gear, and we're going to make sure that you don't gear as fast, and we're going to make it so your gear can't outlevel each other. Whatever. I've never been against Warforging and Titan Forging. I know a lot of people are against it, and that's why it's going away. But it was the one caveat of personal loot was like, hey, at least at the very least you're going to gift me with an awesome piece of gear, and personal loot used to drop more loot. Now it won't. So they're completely destroying the reward system for raiding, completely destroying it. There's no reason to raid in World of Warcraft anymore. I'm fully convinced. No reason to really raid unless you truly enjoy boss encounters. There's no reward for it anymore, and because Blizzard's controlling everything. The one piece of information that I really, really like is alt friendliness. As far as alt friendliness goes, Shadowlands should be better on all fronts. There's no AP long tail grind, that you feel like you always need to be doing. You shouldn't feel like you're sacrificing your main to make some progress on your alt. I also heard there was a quote saying, you should be done for the week on your main. There should be a point where you're just done with your main and you should move on to a new tune. I like that. I think that's good. I did like in Legion the fact that I always felt like I was compelled to play my Demon Hunter, but after a while, it got draining. And I think we're all starting to realize that constantly trying to progress your character can be draining. You need a break during the week, right? So this is one of the good things. When it comes to covenants, I'm not quite sold on them yet, and I'm not quite sold on what he's talking about here. You can read all of this on MMO Champion. I won't bore you with it, but I need to see more alpha and beta testing on covenants, and I also need to see how those abilities play out in Mythic Plus PvP and raiding. So Torghast is also something that I'm really, really excited about. And this is what's really exciting about Torghast. Legendary items are craftable, and recipe unlocks will be account-wide. This is pretty cool news, that you can unlock a recipe and you can spread it across all your tunes. So like if you're really, really, really good on your Demon Hunter, right, and you're really good at Torghast, but you're not quite there on your other tunes, but you could still kind of feed them and kind of kick them forward, right? And get these legendary items that you're crafting in Torghast. I think that's cool. And it's probably the one caveat of Shadowlands. It's probably what's going to keep me subbed a little bit in Shadowlands. I probably won't be subbed the entire expansion. But what will keep me subbed is Torghast and this legendary crafting system. So other than that, those are my initial thoughts on this interview. I think some really bad things came out of this interview, and I think some decent good things came out of this interview. I'm really, really hyped for the class changes in Shadowlands. Just really, really excited to see what they're bringing back. So those are my thoughts initially. I'll be back with more alpha and beta thoughts. Fingers crossed I get an alpha or beta invite. I'm probably not going to get an alpha invite, but I did get invited to the Legion beta. I'd like to be involved in the Shadowlands beta. So until next time, I'll catch you guys.